It all started when my wife left me. She found someone with a lot more money and a bigger house and a smarter car. I found myself somewhat lost in the beginning, but soon decided to sort out my life as best I could. At the time, I was pushing on 40, and as they say, of good health, about 9 meters tall, and doing reasonable exercise. The marriage had been, like most, not very rough, but on the brink of boring. She was hard to please and complaining more and more about the lack of funds to do the things she wanted, like traveling first class all over the world, buying a big house in the city, and changing the car for a new Mercedes. So she left, and we sold the house, and she kept the dog. The small house that we had shared for about 10 years in a suburb to the city where we both worked. The place where our kids had grown up and been to school and so on. We sold the Volvo and everything else, and I bought a small former summer house in another part of the country and a small, well-used Jeep Wrangler for my half of the money. Our 2 kids had gone away to different universities, moved out as fast as they could, and was not surprised by the divorce. After a short deliberation, I decided to quit the kind of job that I no longer liked. I had been a teacher at college for almost a decade. I hated the political changes in school managing and the amount of non-teaching stuff I had to put up with at all hours and times. I decided to take part-time jobs only, extra hours, and different kinds of loose jobs until I could sort out what I really wanted to do. There were no shortage of jobs. I drove a truck for a nearby firm when they needed it, participated in the harvest, driving a big tractor during the fall, and worked as a temp at the local college. The free time in between jobs, I gave into my lifelong wish to work with photography. In my teens, I had trained as a photographer and learned a lot about photography. The technological change from analog to digital photography made the career possibilities non-existent. So I gave up and became a teacher instead. Now I arranged part of the big living room in the house to a studio and started small, just a sort of extended hobby. The house I had bought had once been a summer cottage among some 20 like it on a small peninsula along the coast. Over the years, water, plumbing, and electricity came to the area, and some of the houses was like the one I bought, refurbished to all-year living standard. The house was a 1-story building shaped like a flat U, with a kitchen, bedroom, and bathroom in the one end. A rather large living room taking up the area of the bottom of the U, and 2 small bedrooms, a shower bathroom. The free space within the U made up a secluded garden facing west and was a lovely place to sit in the afternoon. I took my time renovating the place, painting and shaping it to my liking. I remade half of the big room nearest the 2 bedrooms to a studio with 1 white and 1 black wall in the corner, and the lights and stuff that you need. Buying equipment secondhand at a slow pace and low price. One of the small bedrooms was used as a storage room, and the other was perfect when any of the kids wanted to stay over, which wasn't very often. They had their own life at uni. With a lot of free time on my hands, and since it was in an area with summer houses, with less than 100 meters to a secluded beach area, and woodland all around, I did a lot of photography around the area. Birds, landscapes, animals, kitschy sunsets, and so on. A small advert in the local shop and some hits in social media gave me a few assignments photographing dogs, children, graduating students, and business executives. I formed a page in social media and put out more and more pictures. The page stated that I did most things, but not weddings. I have never even tried covering a wedding, but I can imagine it must be a nightmare. And I didn't want that. When I felt settled and could take the time, I treated myself to a rather expensive 5-day photo gathering course at a resort. It covered most aspects of photography, like landscape, portrait, and fashion. Learning a lot, taking a lot of pictures, and getting a lot of nice friends in that trade. So within a year and a half, I had settled into a pleasant sort of life far away from the lights of the city. This is when the story really starts. It is late August. Most of the houses nearby was empty. School term had started, and everyone was back at their respective jobs. I have been lazy in the sun this warm August, and not been up to much, apart from a photo layout in a medium-sized company's PR material, some dull company CEO, a hefty bunch of striped suits, some happy workers, and a few big spreads of factory buildings and paraphernalia. It was a well-paid job, so I had no big worry at the moment. Suddenly, out of the blue, comes a long email from someone called Annette. She and a friend were aspiring models and would like me to take photos for their portfolios. At that point in time, I had merely a sketchy idea what a portfolio was and what kind of pictures they might need, but I might as well try. Setting done. We made an appointment the coming week, and I started to scan the internet for information about what I needed to know. During the course in photography, we had covered portraits, members of the course photographing each other, and I had turned out a few very nice pictures. I also had a few good books about photography with a lot of helpful information. Annette and I had agreed that they would supply clothes and makeup themselves, and I would sort out the rest. I had promised that they could use the spare room for changing and other things, and if needed, stay the night, since they traveled for a few hours to get to meet. All good so far. I stocked up with food and tried to anticipate what else was needed. I had no inkling of the things to come.